leaving to say that she wanted to say hi. So she crawled up on my lap. This is what she does. She just goes, "Oh, I want up on your lap." And then she just gets up on the desk and she wants to walk around because I'm not good enough or something. Or she's looking for food because sometimes I have food up here. But anyway, so yesterday it was kind of endearing. It was just a teensy bit creepy. I handled it fine. So this African guy, I picked him up from a auto body shop or whatever, and he was a friendly guy, very talkative and stuff. But he kept calling me beautiful, and I could only understand just about every other word that he was saying. So it was really hard to communicate with him. And he kept asking me all of these questions about myself. And it was just kind of weird. And, like, some of them I just, like, pretended I didn't understand what he was saying. Because I couldn't understand most of what he was saying anyway. And I could tell, he really found me attractive. And just thought I was the bee's knees, pretty much. And which doesn't happen regularly, which, he was from Ethiopia, which was kind of cool. If I had been able to understand him better, I would have liked to have asked him some questions, but it just was, conversation was really hard with him, so he was, like, carrying the conversation for the most part. I was afraid he was, like, gonna ask me out or something. And, technically, through Uber, I could have probably reported him or something. But I don't see the point in that. He was friendly. He was a little bit flirty, but not overly creepy or anything like that. It's just, I think it was a little bit of, cultural differences, communication issues, and that sort of thing, But then the other day, I met this woman, and she was having a really, I wouldn't call it a hard time, but this guy was trying to give her a hard time at her work. So I picked her up at, like, a residential, sort of, it's for people who are a little bit older, but not, like, but can still take care of themselves and stuff, but it's like a safe living community or whatever, so that they have assistance if they need it, but they don't necessarily need it, you know what I mean? And she was a receptionist there. Jelly Bean, relax. She was a receptionist there, and apparently just down the hall from her was this little guy, and that's the way she described him to me. Said he was this short guy, who was this, like, ugly accountant or something, and she started off the conversation by telling me that this guy, like, came up behind her and, like, kneed into, like, the back of her legs and told her that he could drop her. Which, oh my god, that's creepy. Like, holy crap, that is really creepy. I told her as much, and she's like, oh yeah. And she proceeds, she's like, yeah, but, I just told him that if he did that, he would have a lot of trouble coming towards him. I'm like, good, yeah, that's exactly what you want to do. She's like, yeah. I told him, the police would probably get involved. I'm like, yep, exactly. And I say that because you don't ever assault a person. Like I think she handled it just fine by just threatening and not actually doing anything from the sounds of it, you know. Because some people, if they came into that situation, would just immediately scream sexual harassment and run to HR and try to get him fired. From what I can see, this girl didn't do that. She just kind of threatened him and made him back off, you know. Which is good. So then she proceeds to tell me about how she would have the windows open because it was such a nice day out or something like that, but it was, you know, still a little chilly because here in Portland it's been nicer recently. So I do wear above 45 is nicer after the winter we've had. So people, you know, opening up the windows to get a little fresh air, to hang, you know, just to enjoy the little bit nicer weather we've had, you know, a couple 50, 60 degree days. So, you know, getting that window open. I have the window open right now. I don't even know how cold it is outside. I'm going to guess around 50 or 55. Maybe a little bit cooler than that because it's still morning, but anyway, so she opens up the windows in the office because she likes it, or somebody leaves the door open or something. And so she proceeds to tell me how he will come out of his office and ask her to close the door or the window because it's too cold or something like that. I'm like, okay, well I'm like, okay, so he can't wear a sweater? She's like, I don't know, I guess not. Or jacket? I'm like, yeah. She's like, I guess not. And she was kind of funny. She was pretty sarcastic. And then she proceeds to tell me how he will come and ask her to do things for him. So, like, this one time, he came to her, and he asked her to copy something for him. So, she copied it, and the copied paper came out stapled out of the copier. But the original pieces of paper that she had copied from, she just paper clipped them back together, and then she gave them back to him. Apparently, he came to tell her 4 different times that she needed to have stapled them back together. He felt the need to do this 4 times. It was like the most ridiculous thing I think I've ever heard. And so we're talking about it. It's like we're making jokes about all this stuff. It's like, oh, so he doesn't know how to close a door? And, you know, going back to the being cold thing, she's like, yeah, he could close his doors to his office, but then that would mean he couldn't hear me. Like, what? She's like, yeah. So every time my girlfriend, I'm assuming she means like friend who's a girl, comes in to talk to me, he always hangs around and he listens to us, and it's the creepiest thing. I'm like, yeah, that is kind of creepy. And I'm like, well, are you guys both really attractive? I mean, she was obviously very pretty. She's like, yeah, my friend's really cute too. And I goes, well, that's it. He wants to try to be dominant over you guys because you're totally unattainable for him. I'm like, oh, she's like, oh yeah, that makes total sense. And I'm like, okay, well, here's how you deal with this guy. So it just seems like he's not really capable of doing anything. So next time he comes by, you know, to ask you to do something, you just go, okay, well, if you want me to do these things for you, so like for instance, if he comes out and he's like, can you close the door for me? It's really cold in here. I'm really cold. This guy, by the way, also had a heater in his office that he, for some reason, couldn't figure out how to turn on. So I told her to say to him, if that comes up, just be like, okay, I will do this for you, but you have to call me mommy, because obviously you need somebody to take care of you. You don't know how to do anything for yourself. So if you want me to do that for you, you need to say, mommy, will you close the window for me? And she just thought that was the funniest thing. She started cracking up and she's like, oh my God, yes, I'm totally gonna do that. And I'm like, and it's like with the paperclip thing. It's like, you know, you just look at him, you're like, okay, so this is obviously very, very important to you. If you've come to tell me 4 different times, but I have to wonder why. Do you not have a stapler in your office? Because if you don't, I have one right here that you can use. Do you not know how to use a stapler? Because you do realize that you can staple this yourself, right? So that's the way I would go with it. Just make the guy feel completely incompetent. And I think that's the best way to deal with a harasser. Also, she tells me, I think he got talked to by HR though about it, because he's kind of kept his distance from me, but he still watches and listens to me from a distance. I'm like, oh my God, how ridiculous. But like, I can picture his side of things. Like, if you're a short, unattractive man, you're probably thinking to yourself, okay, I'm going to go become an accountant. I'm going to become an accountant because then women will like me because I'll be successful. But he can't quite figure out how to interact with women or flirt with them or do anything attractive to them at all. And so he turns them off. And so the only thing that he knows how to do is be creepy and watch them from a distance. I really feel for the guy. I really do. But the best way to deal with those types of guys is just to shame them. Be like, really? You need me to do this for you? Or is there another reason behind this? Is there any other reason besides, you know, that you need me to do this, that you're asking me this? Is this just an asshole dominance thing? I mean, the other thing I want to say about this, so, is this story, this is a true story. This is a conversation that I had with a girl in my car. But this is kind of what women would call toxic masculinity. But the thing is that the guy showing these characteristics isn't a masculine guy, you know? He's not like someone who's good with the women. He comes from a place where he wants to be successful with women. He obviously has a sex drive. He's obviously very, very interested in this girl and her friends and stuff like that. But the toxic masculinity part of that is that he didn't learn how to be positively masculine. And so he's only left with the negative parts of masculinity. And that's the problem. And my guess is that if he's acting like this around women, he didn't have a lot of male influences in his life to teach him about positive masculinity. So, you know, you feel for both people. You feel for the girl, because it's like, god damn, that's annoying to deal with. But it's also a really funny story when you tell it like that. So, at least you got a funny story out of it. And it's not like he's gonna hurt her or anything like that. I don't think so. But I really do feel for him too. It's like, it's not easy being unsuccessful with the opposite sex. It's just not fun, you know? It's like, oh, you get, you know, rejected every single time you try. Like, you're just not going to know what to do. You're not going to know how to act, especially if you're not very charismatic to begin with and you're ugly. It doesn't really matter how successful you are if you can't talk to a woman without creeping her out. That's all there is to it. So I think just distance, threatening, you know, legal ramifications if they touch you, and just making them feel as inferior to you as humanly possible, because they want to be dominant over you. But if they walk up to you and every time you show them, no, you're absolutely fucking ridiculous and I'm obviously better than you, they're probably going to eventually stop wanting to interact with you. So essentially I'm saying be a bitch. Yeah. Because a man who acts like that is a beta male cuck, you know? It's like, if he were to actually find the right woman who would give him the time of day, he'd probably, you know, be her whipping boy, you know? And I know that sounds bad, but it's like, he doesn't have any real masculinity. So, of course it's gonna be like that. Alright. That's my thoughts. Bye.